Good morning, Wiggle here. Thanks for joining me. I have Chinese chestnuts falling. Where's it at? There it is. Get those picked up during the day so we don't feed rats at night. But I digress. This is about my off-grid bathroom. Now first, why am I building this bathroom? I already have other things going on. I'm building this bathroom for this out here. This is an acre corner lot on my land, and it's a 1 acre, and I have a road coming in. I have a sawmill over there, and that's part of the reason the road exists, but I'm also going to do more duty with that. This is going to be parking for schoolies, van life, RVs, that kind of thing. People that are interested in, they're in Central Virginia, they're interested in learning how to homestead, or just interested in a nice safe place to park. But mostly I'm looking for folks that want to investigate the homestead lifestyle and do some volunteer work around the homestead, and we could come to some sort of arrangement for the parking. And I'm going to be providing water in that hydrant over there, drinking water out of my off-grid water tank over there. So the whole system for the whole land is off-grid. So I'm going to provide water and a parking space, and you can see it's quiet here. We do have a road over there, but maybe a couple hundred cars a day, I'm not sure. And not a lot of people here. We're in a kind of a scarce population, like 6 people within a mile right here. There's more people in other areas around here, but right here is pretty quiet. So I'm offering that, and people are going to come and help me do what I'm doing and learn about homesteading. So the whole point is when people show up with their housing, even with their tent or whatever, they're going to need a bathroom. That's like a #1 thing, is how do we manage our septic and our gray water, which I separate. So, breaking the peace. Car coming along. I am going to put a wood fence along that road to give us a little more privacy. And did I mention tiny home parking? It might be for tiny homes too. People need to go to the bathroom. So I'm providing an off-grid bathroom. Everything's off-grid. I'm not tying it into the electric system or any of that kind of thing. Building the bathroom, and people can come and use the toilet, wash their hands. I'm going to have a washing machine in there, probably not a dryer. So let me explain the project in here. So back here in the corner, 2 corners, are going to be 2 separate stalls. You can see I got my pipes in for the sewage. Poo-poo. That's Blackwater number 2 and number 1 together in a toilet. One thing I wanted to share briefly is that if you're not going to have to deal with inspectors, run the blue pipe, and you can change it over to regular PVC pipe. The bell side of the blue actually fits on regular white fittings. Anyway, it's not glued, it's just tight, but it's sitting on it. Anyway, you can use the blue, and you can put regular white fittings inside outside of it. Save you a ton of money than just buying all PVC. So I ran the majority of that in that blue pipe, or it's also white in other areas. So that's just a little hint. Anyway, the washer's going to go here, and over here is going to be, I'm actually turning my shower the other way. So you come in the door here. So, and back behind this wall, I'm going to have a water collection tank where I'm going to put a gutter here. It's going to run through the roof there into this other room, and that tank, that rainwater tank, will feed into the toilets. I will also have it where I can feed it from the regular plumbing if I need to, but I can switch back and forth. And then I'm going to make the sinks drain into the toilet. So the sinks in the bathroom don't have a drain. That's why you see no drains for the sink. I'm going to drill a hole through the top of the toilet lid. I'm going to get a nice sink, and I'm going to drain the hand washing or teeth brush into the toilet. I'm going to set the float a little lower than normal to allow for some extra water to come in. So every time people are flushing, we're using the water. Now the supply for the sinks is going to come from the drinking water. The supply from the toilets is going to come from the rainwater. So I'm not too concerned about filtering, getting all that rainwater just right. All it's going to do is go down the tubes anyway. But the hand washing part will come from the deep well. Good stuff. So, and then I'm going to also have another tank in there that is going to be a converted electric, standard electric water tank, and you can modify the element, and you can actually use the same one, and you can run it off of DC. You just have to change your wiring on your thermostats on your electric. The point is you can hook like 3 or 4 panels to it, and you can heat that water in that tank from direct solar, no batteries, no inverters, and it's not picky about the voltage. Those elements, resistance elements, how much ever power they're getting, they're just going to put off that much heat. I will keep these safeguards in place so it won't overheat. I don't think I'm going to overheat these tanks, to be honest. So anyway, it's going to be an off-grid water, and I will get more into that off-grid hot water. And there are other ways to do it. There's vacuum tubes, there's passive solar, and I'm not getting into all that because it only works some of the time. I want something that's going to work all the time, and I'm just going to use solar panels to make sure I have hot water. And this will be in an insulated building, and I just run the wires in. I don't have to worry about pumping water, move all of that to keep it heated, because I just don't want the maintenance. I don't want Legionnaire's disease. I don't. There's challenges, or you have to have a heat exchanger and use glycol that won't freeze, glycol mix, and all of that. I might get to it, but I'm just going to try PV direct to a standard water heater, and that's my hot water. I'm not even going to put hot water to the sinks. It's just going to be standard water. You just wash your hands in cold water, brush your teeth in cold water. We are off grid after all, so let's make a little bit of a sacrifice. Now, the hot water is going to go to the shower and to the washing machine, and I'm going to try to encourage everyone to do cold water washing, and they're going to use the right kind of chemicals, because it's going in my Greywater. We don't want to be eating a bunch of industrial toxins, basically, that most detergent is. We're going to try to use the right kind of detergents to wash our clothes in cold water, mostly. I don't want bleach going down the tube, so there's commercial laundromats. If you got to bleach your whites and all that, take it somewhere else, because I don't want that. I don't want that in my system, because I'm going to have edible fish and edible food. We don't want to overload ourselves with too much stuff that really doesn't need to be there. The shower will get hot water. I'm going to call it warm water, because it's not going to be piping hot. The water coming out of the hot water tank here, and I may put in a on-demand propane just in the interim for comfort or whatever, and you really want a hot shower. Well, we can figure out a way to pay for the propane. I'm not going to buy our base propane. We'll have to figure out how to pay for it. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I'm going to try to more encourage, let's take showers during the day when the water's warm. And let's just be mindful of how we use our energy. We are off-grid after all. Now, the second part of the hot water is, and I already have the wood stove with the water jacket on it. So it's got a water heater built into the wood stove. So I'm going to come off of this wall when it's done. I'm going to put in a kitchen. I'm going to put the hot water, put the wood stove right there. And this wood stove will also be available to everyone out here in this parking lot idea. We come in here, we cook our breakfast, we're heating water. And at that time, whenever someone's cooking, that's the time to take a shower, because the preheated water is going to come through and get heated even nicer by the wood stove. That's a kind of a different project, but I was just saying the hot water is going to really get pumped up by wood cooking. And again, we're not using propane. Coal's not an option around here really, so I don't want to have to buy fossil fuels, quote unquote fossil fuels, to run this. I want to just use, we have woods everywhere. We can get plenty of fuel to run a wood stove. So we're going to run this old-fashioned wood cook stove in conjunction with taking showers and doing laundry if we need more hot water than the solar is providing. And this is a highly sustainable approach. It's going to require human effort, but we have branches. I mean, it falls out of the sky basically, because windstorms and ice storms and limbs dying. We have just that. We don't even have to cut trees for that. And I have my sawmill over there, so we have all the scraps from that to burn. And by the way, this whole structure is built by lumber I milled, and I have come up with somewhat of a non-traditional post and beam balloon type framing, which I'll do another video on that, more specifically of how I'm insulating and framing up this. I am using Tyvek. I am using a 2-inch styrofoam, the dense, the good stuff. So this is all, it's mostly white oak cut, and it's already shrinking. You can see I put the screws in, and not even that well. That way after everything shrinks, I can scoot it all together. And I'm going to take this out right here above the door. I'm going to put a piece of glazing up there just so we get a little bit more light in there. And that little triangle right there is also going to get a piece of glazing that will be above the roof for the kitchen. That way we get a little more light in there. I'm also leaving the partition walls are not going to go all the way up, and I'm going to have a DC powered fan over in this area, and we're going to be pulling air through all the time for ventilation. At the top of this bathroom there's going to be a space above the bathroom, or the shower is going to have a little space, basically that triangle shape for airflow. It's kind of like a cave in here, and just the way things are, I took advantage of the back side of my freezer here, free insulated wall. So and I already had the foundation to kick off of, so that was just too much to not use. So I built this within the footprint of the chicken house over there, and then this deep freeze. And the kitchen, to mention the kitchen, I'm going to have vents up here, and they're just going to be convection vents, no venting or anything, but the roof pitch is going to be slanted right into those vents, so whenever you're cooking in here, you can open the vents or close the vents. In 6 months out of the year, approximately, the vents will be open, and every time you cook, you're going to be pushing hot air into this. Not really going to heat this space. I might have some of those little buddy heaters, or if we need to, but I'm going to try to heat this thing with solar and with wood. The wood burning stove when we're cooking is heating this, and this I'm going to make this very airtight and well insulated, so hopefully freezing the pipes and so forth won't be a problem. All of my pipes are on interior walls. I'm not going to put anything on exterior walls. Airspace inside should keep the pipes from freezing. Going to use DC lighting, DC powered lights. Just going to wire it up that way from the start. Not going to use AC on any of it. So the fan will be DC. Yes, and these closable vents in the kitchen area here, I'm going to put vents on the sides of the peak because it's going to be this shed roof coming off. And again, vents that you can open and close. In the summer, you're going to open these vents, so when you're cooking, the vents on this wall are closed, the vents on the outside walls are open. We get a nice cross breeze to take all the heat out of the kitchen. In the winter, we would close those vents and push the heat in there by convection, mostly. That's some of the idea of this bathroom. I wanted to show you one thing. I hate rodents. I hate getting rodents in my floors. I hate getting bugs. And if you've ever insulated a floor with fiberglass insulation, you know that it falls down and gets wet, gets dirty. If you ever flood your bathroom, blah, blah, blah. It's the paper that causes mold on fiberglass. So I'm putting unfaced fiberglass insulation in here. And I'm putting old roofing that's not really worth anything otherwise. You might be able to use it on a wall, but it's ripped, torn, it's rusted in spots, it's got holes, so like that. Anyway, I'm putting a whole layer of that tin inside here. Nothing can come up underneath the floor. It's going to hold my insulation, and it's a lot of work. It's kind of a pain to do, but it's going to help me really have good insulation for many years to come. I'm just going to go with the fiberglass, not the rock wool, and we're going to see how it holds up. If it does get wet, if it is a little moisture, it's not going to mat it down. If it gets really wet, of course, it's going to pack down my fiberglass and ruin the insulating valve. So I'm still thinking maybe rock wool, but we'll see. The point is that the insulation is protected. The floor insulation is very critical in the bathroom. All that cold air seeps up. So I'm going to spend my money on insulation and not, okay, rock wool. Okay, rock wool. Quit being cheap. I will put rock wool in here. I have to go get it. I'm really going to be relying on heavy insulation to keep this usable in here without a whole lot of extra heat. So that's the idea of that. I'm going to mill just regular lumber, put it in here on the floor, 1-inch lumber, and then I'm going to cover that with that concrete board, and I'm going to put ceramic tile. I find from the years of being in the rental business and so forth, ceramic tile is an excellent, very durable, and it's cheap. Linoleum is just, I hate that stuff. And even the wood laminates, they're better than they used to be. Man, ceramic tile, it's going to last. Somebody can drop something and crack it, and then you have to replace the tile. That's kind of a pain. But overall, as long as you have some extra tile, it's not a big deal. You just go in the storage, get your piece of tile, and pop it back in there. I'm going with ceramic. It's just the durability. And I'm also using very small cracks. I'm Ceramic is a pain to maintain if you have those nice wide cracks. So just get your smallest spacers and push those tiles together, and you'll be happier for it. They don't catch as much dirt. And ceramic is so tough. It's going to last forever as long as it doesn't get cracked. So that being said, back to the plumbing. I have two separate lines here. One's for Blackwater, one's for Greywater. So the toilets, including the sinks that drain into them, this goes to a traditional commercial size septic that can definitely handle the pressure, because all I'm putting in the septic is the toilets, nothing else. The other pipe is for the Greywater. The Greywater will come from the shower, the Greywater will come from the washing machine, and the Greywater will come from around the corner from my little meat processing area. And all the way down there we're going to have a pit full of wood chips. So I'm going to run my Greywater down to my wood chips, and it's going to basically be a garden, fruit tree garden. And I might do some swales and stuff in front. I think that covers most of the aspects of the off-grid component of this. And it's 2 stalls, so if somebody has to really go to the bathroom, I've seen it happen many times. Oh, I need to go. Well, they're in there. There's 2. You need 2, just in case, just to prevent unfortunate situations. And then the bathing is completely separate. It'll just be a changing room basically, and a bath in this bathtub here. Multiple people can be in the place at once. So I was going to show you those pipes there that I showed you. Come over to here. This may be a little more boring. Here is. So I'm gonna walk down here and show you. So hold on. Okay, so here is my Greywater area. I was experimenting with building a pond years back, just because it's kind of a wet area here. Groundwater's pushing out, kind of a spring. Anyway, I'm gonna work this grading and so forth a little bit, but basically my corrugated pipe is gonna run down here and dump into this little field, and I don't want anything running out of it. I want to stop it and soak it in because I don't want it running into my pond over there. But this is going to be my Greywater field. So surface water is going to be routed around it. It's not going to be taking surface water. All it's going to take is Greywater. And it should be able to handle it. And we're just going to put a whole ton of chips in there and plant some trees, fruit trees, and probably some blueberries or something. And that way we can take advantage of the moisture other than just sitting there. We'll have to keep it full of wood chips, but we'll keep doing it. Here's my pond that I want to keep clean. Got some Muscovies out there on it, and there's my cows. Let's say good morning to the cows. They're not mooing. I'm being kind of mean. Oh, here they come. They're like minding their own business. Where's he at? We get fresh grass. No, you don't. Well, they're not mooing at me, but they're like dogs that I'm trained to come. So I'm going to pause this. Okay, I'm up here. Now, I have a Greywater that I separated out from this barn here. So I have to, there's my Blackwater coming out. My Greywater pipe's over in that corner. I got to bring that Greywater over here to tie into this system. That's going down to where I showed you. Now there's my septic tank. I've already got tied into it and started. So that's just my sewer pipe running, and then at this point, this Greywater joins it. I'll bring it in there and run it in the same ditch. That's all the elevation I got. I know it needs to be deeper. I'm keeping it as low as I can, but the guys that put in the septic didn't really put the supply line deep enough as far as I could see. Oh, so much for fixing that leak last night. That's perfect. I'm going to have to deal with that. So, anyway, my Greywater is running right on top of my Blackwater. Yeah, that's right. Stupid leaks got me distracted. So, around about here, and I've done most of the harder digging yesterday. Low spot, a lot of roots, big trees. So now I'm through the worst of it. So now I'm heading that way with this. Using this old worn out Harbor Freight, man, I've put this thing through the ringer. So I obviously cut through this pipe last night, right at dark of course. I like being right here at dark because the sun's over there and this is all in the shade. I'm not having to work in the shade all day. I'm going to have to fix that. Anyway, that gray water is going to take a shot down that hill towards that spot I showed you. So there's going to be a T approximately here. Gray water from over there, heading there, and then the other gray water is going to come up the same ditch to this spot. It's all downhill, every bit of it. It's a downhill grade. Very nice. No pumps, no distribution boxes required. It's just a straight shot all the way down. And where I showed you those pipes is a pretty good elevation up, so I should be just fine. So I'm going to have the gray water from that bathroom heading over here, gray water from that building heading over here, and it's all going to go down there. I'm also going to put in a pump station here, a dump, like RV dump station, where you can dump gray water, dump black water. Going to have a water hydrant right here. So all of that for a fee to, I'm not providing that as a free service, unless you're really here. At any rate, this is the gray water, black water for the off-grid bathroom, and I can't think of a whole lot more to share. I will run that water pipe down as this ditch is coming along here in this area. I'm going to bring that water line in, cut it back over here. That's going to be, see that little shed roof on the side? I'm going to put a 2-story shop right there. Turn this whole building into my shop. It's kind of just an old building filled with junk, so I got to repurpose it and improve it. And I'm going to have a sink in my shop, so the sink's going to run to the gray water, so I'll have something coming out. So anyway, that's why I'm going to bring my pipes down this way, and I'll just plumb it all in now. I won't probably be using it for a little while, but better to plan ahead on that pipe layout for sure. So, and yeah, I'm running obviously the black corrugated. That's a 250 foot run, so I don't have a whole lot of seams. I don't want roots pushing in there and all that. The only seam's going to be right here at this T. I'll show you more as I get it done. Getting taking care of poop is a big deal, folks. If you're in the city just flushing the toilet, not thinking about it, if you're going off grid, you have to realize that sewage is a major concern. And if you go somewhere and they are providing water and sewage for you, you should kiss their feet. I mean, you should be thankful. I'm not saying to worship them, but be very thankful, because they have put in a lot of money, a lot of expense, and that's just something that's so easy to take for granted. It is a ton of work to take care of, but it is the best way to do it. Bury your poop. It tells you to do that in the Bible. Bury your poop and you won't have diseases. You got to take care of it right. If you've ever done composting toilets, great. I don't like them. They're nasty. It's too much handling. No thanks. I'm going to use a regular septic field, which achieves a better end result than that. You want to make compost, fine. Well, my gray water down there is going to make my compost. It's not going to have a bunch of people poop in it, pharmaceuticals and whatever else people are putting in their bodies. It's not going, I'm just going to have some soap residue. It's a totally different thing. And I'm taking responsibility for all of my own waste, and everybody that comes here, their waste. I am doing them a huge service. So the point is please don't take it for granted. It's easy to do. It is a huge sacrifice if people, they're either writing a check for a guy like me to come do it, or they'll do it themselves. Like I'm doing it myself. I'm putting in the time. A lot of work. A lot of heartache. Got to make a lot of things work. A lot of money. Mostly the time is the problem. The money is secondary compared to how much time it takes. If you come here, and I'm not trying to lord it over anybody, I'm just saying take it for what it is. Not what you have a sense of entitlement of how easy it is to just flush the toilet. It's a different game, and you just don't know until you've been responsible for it. So I'm not preaching at you, I'm just trying to give you some perspective. Anyway, I will end it now. I apologize for the tirade. You guys have a nice day, and think about how you're going to manage your waste. Think about how you're going to be off grid. I think we all need to head that direction just because of the way things are going out there. We're going to have to take more and more responsibility for ourselves. People that are serious about being sovereign and free, we have a lot to do. So find your tribe and start cooperating with people. and get it done. Time is perhaps shorter than we would like, so we need to get started on it. So anyway, end of my preaching. You guys have a good day. Thanks.